Hello. Welcome to chapter 2B. You know what? How you like new style? Thought I'd try it out. I've had to turn my air conditioner off because it's too loud. But I know two things. I'm going to be fighting with this look all day, and I'm going to be hot while I'm reading. So let's try to read quickly before I die of the heat. Okay. All the girls began insulting Sammy because they had never seen a girl fight a boy. Mary Vincent shouted, "Sammy got a bloody nose from a girl!" As if by signal, all the girls began to shout, "Sammy got whipped by a girl! Sammy got whipped by a girl!" Sammy wiped the blood from his nose with his handkerchief. He looked angry enough to explode. "If you wasn't a girl, I'd beat the tar out of you," he said through gritted teeth. "I ain't afraid to fight you," Dotty said. That was all Sammy needed. He doubled up his fists and began throwing punches at Dotty, who fought just like a boy, and punched him right back. The kids began to scream and shout. This brought Mr. Standish out of the schoolhouse. Tom ran to meet the teacher, with me following. "Please let them fight," Tom pleaded. "If Dotty whoops Sammy, all the other kids will leave her alone." Mr. Standish thought about it for a moment and then went back into the schoolhouse. By the time Tom and I got back to the fight, Sammy and Dotty were in a clinch. I watched bug-eyed as Dotty wrestled Sammy to the ground and pinned him with her knees on his arms. She pasted him a good few times on the face, and then she scooped up a handful of dirt. "Had enough?" she asked. Poor old Sammy knew he was beat. "I give up," he said. "Then eat dirt," Dotty shouted as she pushed a handful of dirt into Sammy's mouth. That was one of the worst humiliations a fellow could suffer. Sammy began to gag and spit dirt and blood from his mouth as Dotty got up. And boy, did she have a wild look as she stared at the kids. "Next one of you makes fun of me, I'll fight and make him eat dirt, boy or girl," she threatened. All the girls backed away from Dotty with scared looks. Just then, Mr. Standish rang the bell, ending recess. Dotty's first day in school must have been enough to make Mr. Standish wish he had never become a teacher. He tried several times to get Dotty learning her ABCs, but she just sat with her arms folded and wouldn't say a word. "Wouldn't you like to learn to read and write like the other pupils?" he asked. "Nope," Dotty answered, speaking for the first time that afternoon. "Wouldn't you like to learn something about the history of our great country?" Mr. Standish asked. "Nope," Dotty said. "Wouldn't you like to learn how to add and subtract and multiply figures?" Mr. Standish said. "No," Dotty said. "My pa told me I gotta come here 'cause it's the law. But he didn't say I gotta learn anything." Mr. Standish threw up his hands. "Is there anything you do like?" he asked. "Horses," Dotty said. "I like horses." That evening after supper, Tom and I did our homework on the dining room table and then went to the parlor to play a game or two of dominoes before bed. Papa laid aside his book. "How did Dotty Blake's first day at school go?" he asked. Mama dropped her embroidery work in her lap. "It was a disaster," she said. "A complete disaster." Tom and I told Mama all about it when we got home from school. Tom repeated the story for Papa. "That girl's going to get an education some way. That girl is going to get an education some way," Mama said, with a determined look on her face. Tom looked at Mama with surprise. "You can't make anybody do something they don't want to do," he said. "Mr. Standish tried real hard, but it didn't do any good." Mama stared hard at Tom as if she'd never seen him before, and then to my astonishment she smiled. "Maybe I can't, but you can," she said. I'm sure your great brain can make that girl want to get an education and want to look and act like a girl." Tom thought about it and slowly nodded his head. "Maybe I could use my great brain to solve the problem," he said. Then that conniving look came into his eyes. "How much would it be worth to you and Papa? Maybe we can make a deal." Mama laid her embroidery on the table and stood up. She placed her hands on her hips and addressed Tom by his full name, which meant she was plenty angry. "We'll make a deal, all right, Tom Dennis," she said sternly. "Your father and I aren't exactly stupid. We know you deceived us into getting you a bicycle for Christmas by pretending you'd reformed. The bicycle goes up into the attic immediately and stays there until Dotty wants to get an education and start wearing dresses. Now put your great brain work on that." Sorry. Been a taste of your own medicine, hey, Tom? Tom's mouth fell open as if Mama had just told him to pack his things and leave home and never come back. "But that isn't fair," he protested. "Oh, it's just as fair as you pretending you'd reformed," Mama said, "and I'm sure your father will back me up." "I second the notion," Papa said, nodding his head. Oh, I sure felt sorry for my brother. For the first time in his life, he looked as if he wished he hadn't been born with a great brain. "The first thing you must do," Mama said, "is to make Dotty want to learn how to read and write. This will also involve her getting her father's consent. You can begin by teaching her the ABCs, as you taught John D. before he started school." The look of despair disappeared from Tom's face. "You mean if I teach her the ABCs, I get my bike back?" "Not quite," Mama said. "You will also teach her how to spell simple words and identify them until she can read simple sentences from the Guffey's Reader." "And I think," Pa said, "that Dotty should be able to count and write the numerals from 1 to 25 before you get your bicycle back. You will, of course, have to have the help of Mr. Standish." Tom held out his arms in a pleading gesture. "You're both asking for a miracle," he protested. "Then let your great brain perform one," Mama said. "We are going to follow Dotty," Tom said to me the next day on the way to school. It seemed like a silly thing to do, but I was curious and didn't ask any questions. We followed Dotty down Main Street. Then we saw her turn suddenly and run behind the community church. "What is she doing?" I asked. "Shut up and follow me," Tom said. We sneaked down the side of the community church. Tom peeked just around the corner. "Just as I expected," he whispered. I wanted to know what he expected, so I peeked around the corner too. I saw Dotty sitting on the ground with her back against the rear of the building. She had her knees doubled up and her head cradled in her arms. Her shoulders were shaking, and she was crying. "She isn't a wild creature like Papa said," Tom whispered. "Wild creatures don't cry. That just makes it easier." "Easier for what?" I asked, completely puzzled. "To get my my bike out of the attic," Tom said. "Now back to Main Street." Dotty came out of the alley and began to whistle as she walked across the street and down the other side. "I don't get it," I said. "First she cries, and now she's acting happy as a bird." "That is because she doesn't want her father to know," Tom said. Tom put his great brain to work, but didn't tell me anything until Saturday afternoon. I went with him to our barn, where he saddled up Dusty. "Are we going for a ride?" I asked. "You can't come," Tom said. "I'm going to put the first part of my great brain's plan into operation." Tom saw Dotty pulling weeds in the front yard of the adobe house. He rode Dusty at a gallop until he got in front of the house. He got off the Mustang where Dotty couldn't see him and unloosed the cinch on the saddle. "Mind helping me," he called to her. "Dusty always blows up his belly when I saddle him, so the cinch won't be too tight. And I'm afraid to ride him at a gallop." It was a lie, but Dotty didn't know. She came through the front gate, talked softly to Dusty, and rubbed his nose. "I'll get his mind off it," she said. Tom pulled the cinch tight and fastened to the buckle. "Thanks," he said. "The cinch is good and tight now." "He's a beautiful Mustang," Dotty said as she patted Dusty on the neck. "Like to ride him?" Tom asked. Dotty smiled for the first time since Tom had known her. "I'd love to," she said. Her blue eyes were bright as she dismounted from Dusty. "He sure is a well-gaited horse," she said. "You know a lot about horses, don't you?" Tom said. "I should. I was raised with them. I just love horses. They're the only friends I ever had, except for a dog we once had." "You don't like it here in Aidenville, do you?" Tom said. "I hate it," Dotty said with her blue eyes cold as steel. "Pa me ain't free any more. He has to work all day in that shop where I know he's dying inside. I gotta go to school. Me and Pa don't get along here." "But you are here," Tom said. "And you should try to make the best of it. I'll be your friend if you let me. And if you do, I'll let you ride Dusty every Saturday afternoon. Not just a short ride like today, but a good long ride." Right after supper, Tom made his announcement. "I made friends with Dotty Blake today," he said. Pa stopped reading a book. Aunt Bertha stopped darning socks. Mama stopped knitting. "Thank the Lord," Mama said. "At least the poor thing has one friend." I'm going to lose my hat again. It's not about modesty. It's about, let's try different looks. Let's hide the port in a fashionable way. Anyway. "She's not a poor thing," Tom said with rebuke in his voice. "She's just a kid who never had a chance to be friends with anybody but horses. And that's how I made friends of her. I let her ride Dusty this afternoon." "How's it going to help it? How's it going in school for her?" Papa said. "She won't learn anything. She just sits there and refuses to try." "Who are you?" "Oh, not today. Not right now. She's not a..." "Okay. She won't learn anything," Tom said. "She just sits there and refuses to try, no matter how patient Mr. Standish is. But don't worry, Papa. My great brain is working on it." "In that case," Papa said, smiling at Mama, "we have nothing to worry about." Tom immediately took advantage of this. "Of course, my great brain would work faster and better if there was some kind of reward in it for me," he said. "You'll get 2 rewards," Mama said. "First, you will get your bicycle back, and second, you will get the best reward a person can get in helping another person who needs help." Excuse me. From the look on Tom's face, I could tell he didn't think that was much of a reward. Tom and I were the only kids in school who talked to Dotty during morning and afternoon recess. I was embarrassed as all get out, because if there was one thing a fellow didn't do in Aidenville, it was to have anything to do with girls. But it didn't seem to bother Tom. Monday after school, he walked partway home with Dotty, while I tagged along behind. We stopped in front of our house. "Come over tonight after supper," Tom said, "and I'll show you a picture of the most beautiful horse you've ever seen. His name is Black Beauty." "I'll ask Pa," Dotty promised, and then she left us. "What are you going to do?" I asked Tom. "Put the second part of my great brain's plan into action," Tom said. That night, After Mama and Aunt Bertha had finished the supper dishes, we were all sitting in the parlor. "I invited Dotty to come here tonight," Tom said. "I don't know if she'll come or not, but if she does, I don't want anyone staring at her. I want everybody to pretend that a girl wearing boys' clothing is a common thing." Mama looked up from her knitting. "I'm glad you invited her," she said, "and we certainly won't do anything to embarrass the girl." "What have you got in mind?" Pa asked. "Well, I'm going to make Dotty wish she could read," Tom answered. Just then, the front doorbell rang. Tom went to open the door. Dotty came into the parlor. Tom introduced her to Mama and Aunt Bertha. She'd already met Papa. Tom walked with Dotty to our bookcase. "I promised to show you a picture of the most beautiful horse you've ever seen," he said as he opened the bookcase. He took out my copy of Black Beauty and sat down on the floor with Dotty. He showed her the cover picture of the beautiful black horse with his bright black coat, one white foot, and a star on his forehead. "Gosh!" Dotty exclaimed. "He is a beauty." "Oh, there are more pictures in the book," Tom said. From the time he was just a colt being nursed by his mother." Tom opened the book and showed Dotty the colored pictures. "I didn't know they had books about horses," Dotty said. Tom waved his hand toward the bookcase. "There are books about everything in this world," he said. "What does it say in the book about Black Beauty?" Dotty asked eagerly. "Aye, this is the story of Black Beauty from the time he was just a young colt. Anna Sewell wrote the book, grew up with horses, and loved them very much, just like you. But she lets Black Beauty tell his own story." "How can a horse do that?" Dotty asked, frowning. "I told you, anything could happen in a book. Can you imagine if a horse could talk?" Dotty thought for a moment. "Maybe," she said. "Well, that's what the author does in this book," Tom explained. "She not only lets Black Beauty talk to his mother and other horses so that you can understand what he says, but also made him so that he can understand what people say. Of course, he couldn't talk to people, but he could understand what they said. And he tells the story of his life just as you or I would tell the story of our lives." Wow, that makes me want to read the book. I'm excited now. I have Black Beauty. It just might make an appearance on my blog or on my channel. It's pretty. Tom opened the book to the first chapter. "The title of the chapter is My Early Home," he said. "Now you've got to imagine Black Beauty is telling you his life story. Ready?" "Ready," Dotty said as she shut her eyes. Dotty sat in a trance as Tom read aloud to her. I found myself listening with great interest, although I read the book many times. Papa let his pipe go out. Mama stopped her knitting. Aunt Bertha with her hands in her lap until Todd came to the end of chapter 4. "And that is how Black Beauty came to Bertrand Park and met Merrylegs and Ginger," he said. I think I'd better take you home now." Dotty was very reluctant to leave. "What happened to Black Beauty next?" she asked. "Oh, if you could read," Tom said, "I could lend you the book and you could read it. But you can't read, and it's getting late. Come tomorrow night and I'll read some more to you." TD and his great brain continued to amaze me, Papa said after Tom and Dotty had left. Let's see how much more is left, because this looks like a good segue. Oh yeah, Show. Are you kidding me? All right. The next one's going to be a longer read, but that's a good spot.